What's up, guys? It's your boy Mayhem Matthew with Christian Ballard of Ballard Sports Media. How are you doing today, Ballard?
I'm doing amazing, man. We had a really fun day with friends on the lake here at home, and everyone got out in a reasonable time and just had a really good time hanging out with church friends and obviously my grandparents, so some family and everything. I am exhausted, but I also feel like I got some energy, and I'm glad that we called each other up to do a show tonight to kick off SEC Media Days week. And some people out there say, well, it's just coaches talking, but really, it's an opportunity for us in the media to get insight on programs. And that's a big deal because we got to know as football fans and as football media people, we want to know more than what's on the scoreboard, if you get what I'm saying. So, how are you doing? Because I'm doing amazing.
Yeah, I'm doing great. So today we are going to kick off the SEC Media Days by asking one question for all 16 SEC football coaches. Um, One question that we would like to have for the 2024 Media Days. Um, you know, some of it might be a little bit of comical, and most of it is going to be serious questions that we ask these, you know, uh, SEC head coaches. So, with that being said, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna go ahead and get it started with, Vanderbilt, right? So Vanderbilt is probably going to be the worst team in the SEC once again. That's no surprise to anybody. Um, they're going to have the worst offense in the SEC. All their quarterbacks left to go different places. All their wide receivers are pretty much gone. Um, you know, uh, we got London Humphreys to Georgia. You got Jaden McGowan to Boston College, and you got Will Shepard to Colorado. So all their wide receivers are gone. Their offensive line is pretty much gone. Um, you know, but um, and then as far as defense goes, the only thing that's pretty much going to be good is their linebacking core. You still got Langston Patterson coming back, and then you got safeties that are going to be pretty good. C.J. Taylor and DeRicky Wright. Sorry, I can't talk. But that's pretty much Vanderbilt's overview for the season. They're not going to be that good at all. So whenever I think about a question to ask Mr. Clark Lee. My question to Clark Lee is, what is success? And so today, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask a question. Ballard's going to answer my question. Ballard's going to ask a question, and I'm going to answer his question as if I was the head coach. So what question would I ask Clark Lee? My question would be, Mr. Clark Lee, what is success in 2024?
I think Clark Lee would say success is giving it everything they got, giving it their best. And I think for a while, I don't want to say for a while they've been knocking on the door, but I think they've been just a few wins shy. And I think that Vanderbilt has consistently improved, but at the same time, they're almost at a standstill. I think that they got to win some conference games and then definitely they have to dominate the non-conference, but I really think that Vanderbilt, I'm not saying there's no excuse that you shouldn't do it this year, but starting this year, like 6 wins needs to be the goal to get this program back on track. So I'm saying 6 wins.
For sure. Kind of a sidebar question as we continue the SEC Media Days kickoff with Mayhem and my co-host Ballard Sports Media. Um, so you said that possibly get an SEC win or two this season. Who is most likely contender for Vandy to knock off this season?
Well, if I recall, they did end up beating Florida recently. They beat somebody in the SEC. So what
Kentucky.
I would do was it Kentucky? I thought it was Florida.
It was
Thanks
both.
for the correction there.
It was both. It
Uh,
was Florida and Kentucky.
okay. So that I mean, look, that's a good start. But if you want to talk this year, circle this game, Mayhem. 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, August 31st, ESPN. Vanderbilt hosts Virginia Tech. Now, I don't know about you, but I think for Vanderbilt standards, that's a pretty tough opponent to have. Then they got to play Alcorn State. I look at Georgia State on the road. At Missouri, I doubt that. Hosting Alabama, I doubt that. At Kentucky, could they get Kentucky on the road? I look at Kentucky. I look at Virginia Tech to open the season. And honestly, those 2 outside of the other non-conference games like Alcorn State, Georgia State, Ball State, outside of those 3 games, I look at Virginia Tech and I look at, um, uh, who's the other one I said? I look at Virginia Tech, Ball State as a win, Alcorn State, Georgia State, Kentucky is kind of a stretch, but what if they fall a little bit? I don't know, but there's a couple different teams on the schedule that they could pull an upset or 2 that could push them further to get a couple extra wins this year.
So, my question was, what SEC teams could you see um, them pulling off an upset with? So, you already said Kentucky. Is that really the only one
Yeah.
on the schedule?
I would say circle November 9th for South Carolina and the Gamecocks coming to Nashville. Outside of that, you look at Texas, you look at LSU, you look at the Vols at the end of the year. I know it's a rivalry game and anything's possible when that game's played on November 30th, but uh, I'm gonna give that one to the Vols. So I would say Kentucky or South Carolina if any teams on the schedule in the SEC. Sorry to misunderstand your question there.
For sure, it's all right. So um, what's your question that you have for Mr. Clark Lee, and I'll try to answer it.
What's the goal to make sure that at the very least you're not at the bottom anymore in the SEC or college football? What is the goal to make sure that, hey, we're not the worst team in the SEC? I mean, because you got Florida out there, you got Mississippi State. There's a couple other teams contending for that final spot. But Vandy, I think Clark Lee's a pretty good coach, and I think that he's doing the things he needs to do. But I also think Vandy has always been in that situation where it's going to take years upon decades even to rebuild. What would you say?
So, I would say that, well, you kind of already touched on it. You have to win SEC games. You have to take one SEC game at a time. Try to knock off teams like the Missouri and South Carolinas of the world, and see if you can get a couple of them wins. I'm not sure if they play at Auburn or Florida, but if they have that on the schedule, then maybe you can knock off one of them. Try to get 2 of them wins. Also, you're going to have to, to be not be at the bottom. I mean, that's pretty much what I would answer as far as not be at the bottom of the SEC. But as far as wins goes, you're going to have to pull all them non-con games out and win them. I know the hardest one would probably be Virginia Tech. They're getting a lot of hype in the offseason, so we'll see how that goes. But as far as Vanderbilt, not being at the bottom, they're going to have to focus on each and every game one at a time and see if they can knock off at least 1 or 2. I would say at least 2 SEC teams this season.
I like that. I like that response, Mayhem. I really do, and I think that you're on the right track there for Vanderbilt.
For sure. So up next, we got Mississippi State. So Mississippi
Mhm.
State has a brand new coach in town, Jeff Lebby. He was an offensive coordinator at Oklahoma and previously at Ole Miss. Their offensive line lost pretty much everybody to the transfer portal. So you got guys like Leon Bell and North Texas transfer Ethan Miner and Memphis transfer Michaelan Pounders should be immediate starters for that O line. And as far as I'm pretty sure Will Rogers left to go to Washington, so Blake Shapen from Baylor comes in. You got some receivers returning. But the transfer Kelly, I'm not even going to pronounce his last name, from UTEP will probably be
Mhm.
the dangerous deep threat, and Kevin Coleman from Louisville is a really good option for them too. So they got some pretty good wide receivers, not elite or anything like that. Just I would say good. At tight end, you got Cameron Ball from Buffalo and Justin Ball from Vanderbilt. They're just average tight ends there. Defense, they're not going to be too bad this season. Linebackers should be fine. So, and then I feel like the secondary is going to be all right. You got Isaac Smith, and you got Braylon Lanier in the secondary there. You got safety Corey Ellington. That's going to be the best defensive returning player there. So you got some pretty good defensive players. The defensive line lost some players. Um, you know, so they lost Nathan and Jaden Crumby, but it'll be up to Kendrick Jones and I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name from Purdue and Travion Williams to hold up the interior. So that pretty much is the Mississippi State preview. Um, so whenever I think about a question to ask Mississippi State's head coach Jeff Lebby, my question to Mr. Jeff Lebby, and Ballard will answer this question: what can we expect from the Lebby era in year one? And to follow up, if I had a question from the AD, if I had to get a question to the AD, they fired Zach Arnett after 1 year. They didn't even give the man a chance. So, is Lebby really your guy? But for you to answer the question, what can we expect from the Lebby era in year one?
I guess it depends. I think the passing of Mike Leach and the fact that there was not really any air raid offense led to the firing of Zach Arnett, and Jeff Lebby being a former coordinator at Oklahoma. He was also at Ole Miss at one time. He's with his former school's rival now. But I'm sure he takes it very seriously to have this position, have this job. Does he bring back the offense? And I think that maybe he does. So maybe that's why they should give him a chance, and because maybe he could boost up the offense, which is critical in my opinion. And I think we could all agree what we've seen in college football today.
Nice. So, what would be your question to Mr. Lebby? And I'll try my best to answer it.
What are his expectations for the SEC, especially being with his former school's rival? Remember, I mentioned he was at Ole Miss. Now he's entering the SEC, he's entering the league. Just want to know his expectations for the conference, what he expects in terms of what he's going to face, or what maybe he wants to see from the conference. What do you think?
I think what he would respond to is you asked what would he want to see from the conference, and I think in year one, he would like to see improvement. He would like to see his football players, his guys, buy into his program in year one, right? Because that is something that you really have to do is buy into the program. If your players does not buy into what you are selling them, then it's going to be really hard to make improvements, and it's going to be really hard to do anything as far as coaching and getting your players to play well on Saturday. So to answer your question, get the players to buy in to what you're trying to sell them, and to just make small improvements. Mississippi State is a smaller school whenever we're talking about football, and the only thing that I could think of is just making improvements.
Okay. I love it. Absolutely.
For sure. So up next, we have the Oklahoma Sooners. So they are brand new into the SEC. Brent Venables is still the head coach. Brent Venables, he was at Clemson for a very long time as a defensive guy, and came over to Oklahoma as a head football coach. And he's had one, down year, and then last year was a pretty good year, going 10-2. And I think with their bowl game, I think they went 10-3, but losing. Did they lose their bowl game? I can't remember, but
They played Arizona, I know that, but I was live for it, but I can't remember if they had lost it or not. Either way, pretty good successful year, but continue on real quick.
For sure. So their offense is going to be, a question mark, in my opinion. Jackson Arnold is a brand new quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, he went to Oregon. Pretty much all their receivers are coming back. And as far as the offensive line, they have pretty much a brand new O-line this season, with SMU transfer Brandon Hickman. You got Washington transfer Girian Hatchett. You got North Texas transfer Fabici. Who are naming these people? Anyways, sorry about that. Yeah, you got a couple of them guys on the offensive line, brand new offensive line. So it's going to be a pretty big question mark for the offense. And then defensively, Brent Venables is a defensive guru, so you shouldn't really have any question marks there. But the linebackers will be pretty good. Secondary is going to be extremely strong. You got safety Billy Bowen. You got Gentry Williams. You got Woody Washington. That's just a couple of people. You also got Kendall Dolby, Desan McCullough. And so you got a couple of them guys coming back in the secondary. They're going to be very strong there, very strong in the linebacking core. As far as the defensive line, I think this defense is going to be pretty good. As far as the offense, that's a huge question mark. But that's kind of the overview of Oklahoma. But if I had to ask Oklahoma Brent Venables a question, Ballard's going to answer. Can you exceed expectations coming into the SEC? You have a lot of doubts, that Texas is going to be the better team coming into the SEC than Oklahoma. Last year, we seen Oklahoma beat Texas in that rivalry game, and you never know what's going to happen in that rivalry game. Can you have the same success and also can you exceed the expectations coming into the 2024 season?
Good question. I would say the expectation for Oklahoma should always be excellence. I know there's a lot of hype around both of these teams coming into the SEC. All eyes on Texas, all eyes on Oklahoma. Has he felt so I guess can he exceed expectations? Is that basically your question? Okay.
Yep.
So, hmm, if I were to answer that, I would say what a coach would say. I mean, just trust and belief in the organization and players and what you can do as a program. Look what we've already done. And, we're going to do everything we can to bring it over in this transition. That's what I would answer with.
All right, solid answer. What's your question for Mr. Levy?
Venables.
Oh, sorry, Venables. My bad. Sorry. What's your
Keep up with the
question?
current times.
What's your question for Mr. Venables?
Clemson had success on defense when he was the defensive coordinator. How can you continue it at Oklahoma, and why does it work in the SEC?
Well, I do. I would answer if I was Mr. Venables. I would answer this way. I would say, that I feel like I have a pretty strong defense this year. Our linebackers are going to be really good. Our secondary is going to be really good. Our defense line is going to be very tough and very physical. In the SEC, it's all about being in the trenches and winning between the lines. And I feel like that we have the right defensive line to be able to succeed in the SEC. And on top of that, the cherry on top would be we have an extremely talented secondary and linebacker core, all around pretty solid group. So I feel like success is in our favor this year. I do have a lot of experience in defense, and that's my specialty. And we're going to bring these guys in. We're going to motivate them and get them ready for the SEC.
Excellent answer, Mayhem. Thank you.
So up next, this group of teams, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma, were a group of teams that I call expectations. Okay, so that will conclude that segment. The next segment that I want to announce is the poop or get off the pot teams. Okay. So these next set of teams will be poop or get off the pot. And we're going to start this segment with Arkansas.
Okay.
So Sam Pittman, he is on the hot seat. He's had a rough couple of years. They bring in Bobby Petrino, which, is a miracle because, Arkansas, I thought Arkansas was never going to rehire Bobby Petrino, but Arkansas is getting pretty desperate there. Bobby Petrino comes back as the offensive coordinator. Their offense up front is going to be really, really good. They have 3 strong transfers in Fernando Carmona from San Jose State, Addison Nichols from Tennessee, and Keyshawn Blackstock from Michigan State. And they also got Utah transfer Jaquaden Jackson. So, You also have a Boise State transfer quarterback, Taylon Green. So we'll see how he is. You got a couple of receivers. You got Andrew Armstrong, tight end Luke Haas. Then there'll be a couple of guys to look for in that Arkansas offense. As far as the defense, um, it's going to be kind of shaky. Their linebackers are okay. They're losing Chris Paul to Ole Miss and Jaheim Thomas to Wisconsin. That was their top two tacklers. But they also have, Georgia transfer Xavier Sori, which is going to be pretty good. And also Brad Spence, which is a veteran there at Arkansas. Their defensive backs are going to be kind of shaky. They have Jaden Johnson, and then they have veteran Jalen Braxton there. So their defense aren't going to be really good. But if I had to ask, Arkansas's Sam Pittman a question, it's going to be pretty simple, Ballard. What's the game plan, man? You brought in this new offense coordinator because your offense stink. Now your defense is kind of shaky. You're not really 100% with the offense. Even though you bring in Bobby Petrino, they're going to be kind of good. They're going to be solid. So what's the game plan? I mean, yeah, what's the game plan? I mean, that's pretty simple question there.
We don't know what the game plan is at the moment. We'll circle back to the question later on when we figure out our game plan, when it's time to figure out our game plan. But I'm going to go sit back and have me a cold beer.
Well, yeah. Well, that's pretty much what he's been doing for the past couple of years.
I
So
mean, like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from Sam Pittman? I love Sam Pittman to death. I love his character and everything. And Mayhem, that's why the question I came up with. He hasn't figured out his game plan and everything. He's got to figure something out soon. You look at their schedule and everything. They open up the non-con Thursday, August 29th with UAPB, which is Arkansas Pine Bluff. That should be a win. They got to go to Oklahoma State and Stillwater week 2. Now, if they pull a road upset, they're going to have high expectations, not like national contention or anything, but there's going to be a turn of the coin for Arkansas. But it's been a rough off season. They've had transfers, they've had just some changes at Arkansas and everything, and I think a lot of people love Sam Pittman. I gotta ask him. My question for Sam Pittman would be this, and you could be funny about it if you want to, but when you hear him in his press conferences and he says, "I'm gonna go sit back and have me a cold beer," I'd want to know how many cold beers have you had this off season, because it's just been a rocky road the past couple years for Arkansas, and I guarantee you, not much has changed this off season. And I'm not saying any of that to put him down or anything, but how would you answer that? Like, how many cold beers has he had?
well, my answer would be my seat is on fire. Okay, my seat's on fire and my butt's getting hot. So I probably haven't had any cold beers in a while because I'm trying to save my job. Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would
I mean,
agree. I mean, he probably he talks about how he has that after a win, and not that he's lost a lot, but he definitely hasn't won too much this offseason. I think you get what I'm saying there. It's kind of some ties in there, like, it's kind of 50-50, and Arkansas just has not been a winning program in a long time, and it really hasn't looked like a winning program under Sam Pittman. As much as we love the guy, and I don't know anyone out there who says I hate Sam Pittman, I even think the Arkansas fans have bought into Sam Pittman, and I don't blame them. I really don't. But I think maybe it's like you said one time, it's time to poop or get off the pot, if you're Arkansas, right?
Yep. Um, let's talk about another team that has to poop or get off the pot, and that's Florida. Billy Napier
Yeah.
there. Um, so just an overlook of their team this year. Their offensive line is going to be terrible. Um, they got Brandon Dixon from San Diego State, and Austin Barber. I mean, that's pretty much the two big pieces coming out of the offensive line. No disrespect to them two guys, but their offensive line is not going to be that great. Also, injuries has been a problem with the offensive line. So, figuring out how to keep the offensive line healthy this year will be a plus. They lost Trevor Etienne to Georgia, but they have Montrell Johnson, who is a former Louisiana back. I think he led the Gators with 817 yards and 5 scores last year. And they also have Trayon Webb, and freshman Jaden Baugh. So them guys are going to be in the running back room there. Graham Mertz, he is coming back, so that's going to be a plus for him. They lose Ricky Pearsall, but they have Eugene Wilson coming back, so that's pretty much it as far as the offense goes. As far as the defense, um, I mean, they're not going to be that great either. Linebackers are going to be pretty good. They lost Scooby Williams to Texas A&M, but Shamar James is back, and also South Carolina transfer Grayson Howard is going to be there too. Um, some of the secondary is going to be pretty good. So you got Jordan Castell, and you also have Washington's Asa Turner. Yeah. So also you have Devin Moore at corner coming back. So that's pretty much the preview for the offense and defense. They're not going to be that great this year. Let's just call a spade a spade. Florida's not going to be that good. But whenever I think of a question for Billy Napier and company, my question to Billy Napier is, what is Billy Napier's plan to save Florida?
Mhm. Uh, well, outside of what Billy Napier might say, I think that we all know he's got a long way to go. Uh, but it's like I don't know. I don't know if he knows what his plan is. He knows what he's got to do. Like you got to recruit, you got to keep guys, you got to have on-field success, which he lacks. He lacks the defensive discipline. He lacks the high-flying, explosive offense that maybe we saw a few years ago, even under Dan Mullen at Florida. I don't think he knows, like, other than he might just say, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing and I got this." But Florida's only going to put up with it for so long.
Sure, and that's why he's in this category of pooping. Get off the pot.
Hmm.
What will be
Yeah,
your question?
for Florida,
Yep,
I
Billy
would
Napier.
ask. So this is interesting. It has to do with transfer Cormani McClain. I would ask him. Cormani McClain was at Colorado. How do you convince a five-star to come to a program that is stooped as low as yours? Now, I say that with all due respect, but he's got to know like your program has fallen and it can't get up. And Cormani McClain is a big time recruit. Like, how do you get that guy? How? Other
So
than paying him behind closed doors, but no coach is ever going to admit to that, or have they recently?
my answer would be we already have Cormani McLean. He is a preferred walk on. And my answer would be Cormani McLean needs us just as much as we need Cormani McLean. And, I probably wouldn't go into much detail if I was Billy Napier, but since I am Mayhem Matthew, right, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that he was a problem at Colorado, missing meetings, missing practices, not even watching the film and stuff like that. And he's starting to carry the same exact traits and the same characteristics that he had at Colorado, and he's bringing them to Florida, and he's already doing the same exact thing. I know I've heard from other outlets that Cormani McLean has been punished, and even the extra practices that he has been punished, he's been late to them as well. So if I was Billy Napier, like I said, I would say that Cormani McLean needs Florida just as much as Florida needs Cormani McLean. And I wouldn't go any further with that.
Reasonable, for sure, man.
So up next is the South Kakalaki Gamecocks. So this is one of them type of teams where I'm like, they could be sneaky good, but then also, they got some questions. Last year the offense was a little bit inconsistent. I think, the offensive line needs to be better. They had a lot of injuries as well. The injury bug killed them as well. But they should be pretty good on the offensive line. They should be better, than they were last year because they had a lot of injuries from the offensive line. So that's a plus. The new quarterback in town, you got Lenora Sellers, and you also have transfer Robbie Ashford. So I'm pretty sure that Lenora Sellers is going to get the start, but don't be surprised if Lenora Sellers don't sell. Get it? What he's has on the football field. Maybe we could get Robbie Ashford entering in for the South Carolina Gamecocks. You got Xavier Leggett leaving to be a Carolina Panthers. Antoine Wells is an Ole Miss. And Trey Knox is a Minnesota Viking. So you're going to have to lean on your young talent in the wide receiving core. You're going to also have to lean on Jared Brown from Coastal Carolina and Amari Bruce from Louisville. So they're pretty experienced guys, but you're going to have to lean on them to make a immediate impact in that South Carolina wide receiving room. As far as the defense, defense isn't that great. They had terrible pass rush. I don't know. They're just not going to be that great this year. You're going to have to get better on the defensive side of the ball. So with that being said, that's pretty much South Carolina's preview. They're going to have a decent offensive line. A defense. Sorry, I can't talk today. South Carolina is going to have a decent offense, but their defense, I'm kind of shaky about. So with that being said, that's kind of that. If I had to ask a question for the South Carolina Gamecocks, Shane Beamer. And I mean, it's pretty simple. What is Shane Beamer's realistic expectations for the season? Because the reason why I say that is because last year I felt like Shane Beamer made a lot of excuses, especially on the injury side. Every single time, they lose a game. Oh, well, we had a bunch of injuries, or he tries to blame it on the refs and stuff like that. I feel like I would want to know Shane Beamer's realistic expectations. I want him to go ahead and tell me what his expectations are up front. And then whenever he starts making these excuses down the road, they're not going to be as forgivable as they were last year. So I need to know realistic expectations coming in to this year.
Bowl win, also bowl win, bowl win, bowl win, and consistency, and consistently getting better for this program. I think that's what Shane Bieber wants. I think that's what South Carolina fans are expecting, and I'm not going to say that it can't happen. I'm not going to say that it will happen. I don't know, but that's their expectations. Is they got to get better on the offensive line. They gotta protect quarterbacks, whoever it might be, and they have to get better, and they gotta win big time football games.
For sure, I totally agree. So what would be your question for Mr. Beamer?
Getting to that, I would ask, how do you get the message of execution across to the team? And honestly, from his standpoint, what is the goal in terms of wins for this program this year in 2024? If he had to be specific with the number of wins that he's trying to get to, are we talking 6-6 just to make a bowl? Is it 7-5? Are you trying to go above and beyond and surprise us at 8-4? What are you trying to do as far as the number of wins? But also, how do you get the message of we got to execute on the field across to your team? What do you think?
So the message I'd bring to my team is, I would motivate them to keep on. Last year they had a lot of injuries and stuff like that, and I would, they had a lot of momentum the year prior. So I would say that, basically, you know what? All right, I got perfect answer for this. Okay, it just popped
Good.
it just popped into my head. If I was
Okay.
Shane Beamer last year, everything that went wrong, that possibly could have went wrong for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So the way I motivate my team is, let's go on a revenge tour. This is our revenge tour. Okay. And I would go with that all year long. This is South Carolina Gamecocks revenge tour. Last year, everything that went wrong for the South Carolina Gamecocks went wrong. Everything that possibly could have went wrong. This year, everything that possibly can go right goes right this year. This is the Gamecock revenge tour in 2024. I mean, that's the best way I can answer that. And to respond to Mr. Max Todd, it says, no coach is going to say we'll be a 5-win team. They will say we have a chance to win them all. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But, me and Ballard are being realistic. I mean, we're saying, well, I mean, whenever we say stuff like that, we're speaking we're speaking the real truth. Okay. What would a SEC head coach really say, and what would they really think? There's, yes, they have a chance to win every single game, but Vanderbilt is not thinking that they're going to beat Georgia. They're just not. Come on, man. I mean, they're going to go out and try their best, and they're going to try to win the game. But inside of every single person's head at Vanderbilt, football players, they're going to lose. Whether it's by 7 points or whether it's by 25, 30, 40 points, they're going to lose. So, yes, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Todd, but at the same time, we're just being realistic here. We're answering the questions honestly. These head coaches are going, at media days, these head coaches are going to be like, yeah, we're going to win the national championship. I mean, remember a couple years ago, Clark Lee said that Vanderbilt is sustained to win national championships. Hey, Mr. Todd, do you really believe that? And my question to you, Mr. Todd, does Clark Lee really believe that? Obviously, he don't. He's just trying to hype up his players. He's just trying to motivate them any kind of way. And I get what you're saying, but at the same time, we are being realistic and here on this show right here. So, but good comment. I love the comment. If you have any more, please feel free to leave more comments. I like to have a little conversation in the chat. If anybody wants to chat, feel free to do that. So, are we finished with the South Carolina Gamecocks?
Yes, because I asked my question too.
Okay. So the next segment is instant grits ? And you'll see why I titled it instant grits. The first team that we're going to do in this group right here is Texas A&M. Texas A&M has a brand new head coach in Mike Elko. Mike Elko had a really, really good season with Duke. Actually, a couple of seasons, really good couple of seasons with Duke. The first person I think of whenever I'm talking about Texas A&M and Mike Elko, Penn State's head coach. What's his name again? Franklin. James Franklin. Remember, he had like a couple of back-to-back 9-win seasons at Vanderbilt, goes to Penn State, and he can't get over the hump. I'm not saying that Mike Elko is going to do that at A&M, but it's kind of a similar situation, with Duke not being a really great team, and he wins a couple of 9-win seasons there. Now he's going to Texas A&M that should be contending for national championships, whether you believe it or not. But the Texas A&M preview, the offense is, going to be pretty good. They got offensive coordinator Holloman Wiggins and Colin Klein. Connor Wegman is going to be, I guess, the quarterback this year too. So is he going to? He's a question mark. Is he going to shine this year? Also, as far as tackles, you got Trey and Chase. I'm not even going to pronounce their last names. You got them on the line there, and then as far as their backs, you got Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss, and Ruben Owens. They're fast, and they should have a pretty good season. So Texas A&M offense is looking decent. They're looking pretty good. The defense is going to be good. Their secondary is going to be pretty good. Their defensive line is going to be pretty good. I think overall this is a solid A&M team. It's just a matter of can Mike Elko be successful with them. But my question is going to be for Mike Elko. Are we supposed to expect instant success in year one in the Mike Elko era?
I mean, based on the talent that A&M has, and they got some good talent, but also the success that he had at a program like Duke, I think we are supposed to expect that. I would say that the expectation should be excellence at any program for any coach, but especially in the SEC with Texas A&M, who's trying to get back to it, get back to it, get back to it. Had a little bit of success with Jimbo Fisher. He's out of the picture. You want you want to show that this is not a dead program and that it's also a program that you shouldn't mess with.
For sure. And I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you, Texas A&M has the accommodations and the amenities to be a national title contender year in and year out, even with Texas in the SEC. So I am excited to see the Texas A&M versus Texas game. I am very excited about it. Bring that rivalry back. Thank you, please. I am so excited to see that because Texas A&M is going to have a chip on their shoulder. Mike Elko, remember he was formerly there at Texas A&M with the I believe is like in the 2012 era with Johnny Football. So he has ties to the university. So they know Mike Elko knows how successful that Texas A&M can be. They were pretty successful with Johnny Football and Company back then. And then they had a really good season during the COVID season, but I know nobody really counts the COVID season, but they had a pretty good season there too. But yeah, Texas A&M to me should, the coach should be proud of what he has built in this short amount of time, and he should be proud of what the program has built for him to be successful. So, what would be your question to me?
Mike Elko, I would ask, what are you bringing from Duke that is going to boost the Aggie success in 2024?
Well, my answer would be really simple to that. I'm going to bring my knowledge of the game. I would say that I was formerly at Texas A&M before, where Texas A&M had a lot of success. So I have a lot of knowledge of the game. I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to Texas A&M history and being a part of Texas A&M culture. I'm the man for the job. And I would say that we are very talented 5 stars all across the field. And as far as what Mike Elko brings to the table, I would say that success has followed him everywhere he's been. So he wouldn't have he wouldn't have it different there at Texas A&M.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
So up next is Ballard's favorite team,
Let's go.
Alabama. All right,
Yeah.
So this year was Alabama's biggest transfer loss. They lost a ton, but they do bring back Jalen Milroe. They bring back Tyler Booker, Deontay Lawson, Parker Brailsford, Malachi Moore, Tim Keenan, Jaden Roberts, Keon Sabb, Jermaine Bernard, and James Burnett. So that's some of the best Alabama players on the team this coming season. What to expect is excellence. they're going to be very talented offensively. They're going to be very talented defensively. Kalen DeBoer, yeah, he's a brand new head coach, but he was just at the national championship with Washington that was filled with a whole bunch of 3 stars. He took a Washington team that was worse than Alabama, and he did more than what Alabama could do, winning, and going on to the national championship. Yes, he fell short. Michigan won, but at least he was in that national title game. He comes to Alabama. He's going to expect the same greatness, and overall, Alabama is going to be a very talented team. They're going to be very successful. They're going to be able to compete in year one with Kalen DeBoer. And that leads me to my question that I have to ask Kalen DeBoer. How do you maintain that level of success just as Nick Saban did? How do you maintain that?
You
And
trust
how do
the
you
process.
and
Go ahead.
then and then I would say a part 2 to my question would be, how do you reset after coming off of a national championship run? How do you reset and come to a brand new football team and get these guys ready to be in a national championship game?
You gotta understand the expectations of Alabama. I mean, that's the standard, and that's what the standard is excellence at this school. It's what's expected of the program, and I think that that's gonna be the expectation for any team in the SEC really, but especially Georgia, especially Alabama, that's gonna be expectations, and we just gotta put it on the field. How we're gonna do that, we're gonna give it 110% each week in and week out. We might lose a game here or there. We got a really tough schedule, but we have a lot of key pieces coming back, especially with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. We lost some guys in the portal, but we made up for it with other incoming transfers. So I think we're well set.
For sure. And what would you ask?
To DeBoer, I would ask, has he felt the pressure yet of having to fill Saban's shoes?
I think he would say yes. I think he would say yes. I have totally felt the pressure here. And then I would go on. If I was Kalen DeBoer, I would go on to thank my staff, and I would go on to thank Nick Saban for not only mentoring him through this process of becoming the new Alabama head coach, and I would thank my players. I would say my players have really stood up, and they have really made me comfortable, and took a lot of pressure off of me, because they are a really talented team, and my coaches have taken a lot of pressure off of me because they are some really talented coaches that I brought in, and I trust them 100%. So I would pretty much answer your question by thanking my staff, my and my players, and I will be thanking Nick Saban as well, giving him a lot of advice and mentorship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's 100% grateful to Coach Saban. And obviously, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that Nick Saban is doing to call and check up on the program and Kalen DeBoer. I mean, we knew that he wasn't gonna leave the door open for someone and not have control. I mean, he just meant too much to the program, and it meant too much to Nick Saban to the point of him just up and leaving completely. So, if you think he's fully retired, I think you might wanna recheck that.
So the next group of teams that I kind of put together are contenders or pretenders. And this next group is starting off with Missouri. So Missouri came off with one of their best seasons. Didn't they win like 12 games
Yeah,
because with the bowl
got
win?
a
So
bowl.
that's
Yeah,
one of their
over
best.
Ohio State.
Yeah, that's one of their best seasons. Um, they also get Brady Cook back. They get Luther Burden, which might be one of the best wide receivers in the nation. Theo Wees is also a really dangerous threat. Um, they also got guys out of the transfer portal. Schrader is gone. But they have Georgia State transfer Marcus Carroll and Appalachian State's Nate Noel. So that'll be a 1-2 punch, behind an amazing line. Up front, they're going to have, Oklahoma Sooner, Caden Green, and SMU tackle Marcus Bryant added on to that offensive line. That's going to be really, really good. Their offense is going to be amazing and fantastic. As shout out to Pigskin Pete, his YouTube channel. But as far as the defense is going to be amazing. They got Johnny Walker, edge rusher, the top returning star. They got Michigan State defensive end Zion Turner, defensive tackle Chris McKellen from Florida. These guys are going to be really, really good. The secondary is going to be amazing. They did lose Ennis Rakestraw and Chris Abrams, but they're not going to have really any drop off there. Secondary is going to be fantastic. So this team is going to be really, really good once again under Eli Drinkwitz. So my question, well, I'm gonna let you ask the question first. I've been asking all of them so far first. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, with Missouri.
Yeah. What would you
Uh,
ask Eli Drinkwitz?
what is your secret sauce that has added flavor to your program to bring it alive on the field?
Hmm, that's a good question. What
I
is your
knew you'd love that.
What is your
Secret
secret
sauce.
sauce? And these coaches are going to say some crazy answers. So,
And a
if you
guy here's the thing too, Mayhem. You got a young guy like Eli Drinkwitz, he'd love a question like that.
secret sauce,
Luther Burden, maybe?
well, I was trying to be creative with this answer here. Um, secret sauce. Dang, you really stumped me on that one.
I win. Ballard wins.
Hmm, trying to think.
Let me ask it a different way. What's gonna be the key to their success on the field this year, man? Like what's gonna boost
Well,
this
yeah.
young
I
man up?
mean,
Like,
it's going to be their elite defense, and it's going to be obviously their quarterback and that wide receiver of theirs. I mean, that's going to be the key to their success, and their offensive line is going to be very, very good. You got Brady Cook coming back. I mean, he's in talks of early Heisman, and also you got Luther Burden, which is the top wide receiver in the nation. So they're going to be leaning on them really good. They're going to be leaning on their offensive line because they lost a great running back, but they have a couple of good ones coming in, and then their defense is going to be tremendous as always. So, um,
Max Todd makes a good point. Transfer portal is his magic sauce, same as Lane Kiffin. I guess that works.
yeah, that works. I was just trying to be really creative. Um, I'm gonna say ketchup. Secret sauce. And hear me out on this one.
Oh, you better have a good explanation for ketchup.
The reason why I say ketchup in this secret sauce question that you gave me is because I really don't know anybody that. I mean, yeah, some people don't eat it eat it with burgers, but if you don't eat it with burgers, then you eat it with fries, and if you don't eat it with fries, then you eat it somewhere else. You eat it on um, hash browns, or if you, I mean, some people eat it on their eggs. Some people eat it on their mashed potatoes. It's just everywhere. Um, and a lot of people are of the belief that what makes their dinner or their lunch a lot better, or sometimes even their breakfast with eggs, is adding a little ketchup on it. So that would be my explanation of why I say ketchup. Because there's a lot of people that don't like ranch. There's a lot of people that don't like honey mustard. There's a lot of people that don't like mayonnaise. There's a lot of people that don't like yellow mustard. There's a lot of people that don't like a lot of condiments. But one condiment that most people can agree on is ketchup. So that's my secret sauce.
This just turned into some Duck Dynasty stuff right here. Like this seems like Uncle Side explaining like anything in the world. The way you said all those sauces, and some people don't like this, some people don't like that, some people don't. That made me think of Uncle Si from Duck Dynasty, like how weird he is, and like moving on.
All right. So
This show went sideways.
my question to Eli Drinkwitz
Hmm.
would be, and I have to really change up my question that I had, because you kind of stole my question. But my question would be running backs. Um, you know, I would ask about the running backs, and I would ask, um, how are they going to? Because Schrader was a legend. And yes, I said legend. He is going
Yeah.
to end up being a legend in Missouri football history. He was probably the best. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I can remember, um, Schrader is the best Missouri running back probably of all time. And so, how do you follow up with that? I know you bring in some running backs from the transfer portal, but how do you motivate them to kind of fill in Schrader's shoes?
Mm, you just got to let them execute. Let them be them. Coach them up right in practice. Put them on the field and let them run wild. That's it. That's how you do it. And maybe they'll be as good. Maybe they won't. But I think that it's big shoes to fill. And I think Missouri could do it. I think we could do it. We believe in ourselves. We got this.
For sure.
Yeah.
So up next is Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is getting a lot of hype. He is the transfer portal king. He has Jackson Dart coming back. Um, he has a ton of transfers, elite transfers at that. The running game is going to be fantastic. Um, you know, Wayne Kalepo from Washington um, is going to be a great guard. You got Caleb Warren at center. He's a veteran center. Um, but you lose Quinshawn Junkins to Ohio State. That's fine. But you got Ulysses Bentley is a very decent veteran. He'll also be with Henry Parrish from Miami and Rashad Amos from Miami University. So you got a decent running back room with a really good offensive line. I named a couple from that line. So, and then the receivers are going to be extremely good. As far as Ole Miss's defense, Walter Nolan comes to mind. He is the Texas A&M transfer portal guy. He's going to make an immediate impact. Secondary is going to be pretty good as well. I think the offense and defense is just going to be, as a whole, extremely good. So, with that being said, my question is with Lane Kiffin being a transfer portal king, I would ask him this question. With you being the transfer portal king, how are you able to mesh these guys together and get them, you know, a lot of these guys are coming from different colleges in the transfer portal. How are you able to get them to come together and mesh very well? And how do you get them to execute as a team?
Just faith and belief. Faith and belief in each other, faith and belief in yourselves that you can do it. You gotta have good chemistry within a team, and you gotta put that on the field, and these guys believe in each other, and that's why we're able to win as many games as we win each year. That's why that we could probably make a really good run in 2024.
For sure, and that was the word I was going to use. I just couldn't think of it. The question would be, you have a lot of guys from the transfer portal. How do you, make them have immediate chemistry and let them mesh well and bond together? How do you go about doing that in such a short time frame? But you already answered the question, so that was a great answer. What would be your question for Mr. Kiffin?
You're gonna laugh, but Coach Kiffin, just wanted to ask about your relationship with your father, Nick Saban, and just wanted to see how often you call to check up on his retirement, to check up on Daddy Saban.
I would probably answer that question like he does most questions: rat poison.
Rat poison? Yes, rat
I'll just
poison.
a simple answer of rat poison.
Yeah.
That's how I would answer that question. So
All right.
let's move on to LSU.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna be honest. Before I do the preview and stuff of LSU, dude, I think they're gonna be really really good.
Me too.
Um,
Even losing Jaden Daniels, I think Garrett Nussmeier could take over the offense for real.
yeah, they lose Jaden Daniels, but they have Garrett Nussmeier, and I've always been on the Nuss bus. I think he can have a tremendous season. And their schedule is they favor their schedule is pretty favored with Nichols, South Alabama, UCLA, and Vanderbilt. That should be easy 4 wins right there. And then also Arkansas should be an easy win, 5 games. Florida, that should be 6 games. South Carolina should be 7 games. I think USC, I know this is going to be a bold take, but screw it. They face the Trojans. I think that should be an easy win for LSU. I think Lincoln Riley's in some hot boiling water, and I think he's not going to be able to get it out of it this year. So I think the Trojans should be an easy win. I think Texas A&M should be a win there. I know we just talked about him. I think first year head coach. He's going to do good, but he is going to lose some games. Texas A&M, Mike Elko. So I think LSU should win that one. Oklahoma should be a pretty good win for LSU. Dude, I think their schedule sets up perfectly for them. They still have to, take Alabama, but they do get Alabama at home. So that's their schedule. I mean, they have to go at Texas A&M, but like I said, I think they should take care of business there. I'm gonna be honest. The playoffs looking really good for LSU. So their schedule is in favor. They have 5 stars all across the field, offensively and defense. They also fired their whole entire defensive staff after the worst defense of performance last season. And they overhauled their defensive staff, which is going to be an upgrade from the previous year. It's not going to be 100 times better, but it's going to be a lot better than it was last year. So I don't expect this defense to make a full entire 180, but I do expect it to be a lot better than it was the year prior. And like we just talked about, Jaden Daniels is gone, but Nussmeier is a stud. Okay. And they also have some great wide receivers as well. So with that being said, I know they lose a lot, but they also gain a lot as well. I'm expecting LSU to have a phenomenal year in 2024. So with that being said, my question to Brian Kelly. How about you go first?
You sure?
Yep.
This is going to be good. I'm going to clip this. My question for Brian Kelly at Media Days is very serious. Must know, hands down, what's the best out there? Your favorite part of Occasion Cookout?
So, I have been to Louisiana before, and I know somebody that is from Louisiana. I know actually a couple somebodies, and I would believe that he would say that crawfish is the best part of a Cajun cookout.
Crawfish. It's not an obvious choice, but it's a popular choice. And maybe Brian Kelly would say that. You got to have the shrimp, potatoes, corn, sausage. I'm talking that kielbasa sausage, or I don't know. Is that what the Cajuns use? I don't know, but you got to have all that too. But the crawfish, yeah, I like it.
Yep. My question to Brian Kelly is, well, since you did I've been asking serious questions, so I guess I get a funny question too. How do you like your new accent?
It's really great down here in Louisiana, and Oh, my family has enjoyed it so much since we moved to the SEC. And boy, Texas and Oklahoma, put on your big boy pants and let's play some football.
For sure. But my question to you, Ballard, not to the coach, but do you think that LSU is a legitimate contender for playoffs? I'm not talking about SEC titles. I'm talking about straight up playoffs.
I do, because I think that at the end of the day, whether they make it to an SEC title or not, they're going to be number 3 or number 4 on the outside looking in. And I think that 10 wins is very doable. I also think that even if they go like 9-3, they still have a legit chance to get that 11th or 12th spot in the playoff to be a really good at-large team. And even if it's not this year, you can expect greatness going forward, and you could see consistent improvement for LSU and Brian Kelly at the same time. So I I don't know if they make it this year, but going forward, if you want to talk about where they are as a program and the direction they're going, I do see them as a legit contender for the playoff.
For sure. Before we get into the next set of teams, I want to go ahead and look at the chat because chat's been going crazy. And I want to thank everybody for coming in. Flaming Sports Media, Max Todd, Daniel Berry Sports, Hokey for Life. And so I really want to thank y'all for chatting it up in the chat. I really appreciate it. I want to read some chats. So let's see. Max Todd said, ketchup is not my favorite. If you have to put ketchup on food to make it taste better, probably not worth eating. So I do agree, Max, that if you have to put something like that on food that is probably not worth eating, you probably don't like it in the first place. But I also have to disagree with you. Ketchup is good. And then Daniel Berry says, yo. And then Max Todd says, ketchup on eggs or steak will get you kicked out of my house. Well, I guess I'm not going to your house, Max Todd, because I do eat ketchup on my eggs and my steak. Okay, I'm sorry. So, anyways, Hokey for Life
Not
says
on
hello.
steak, bro.
Yeah, steak. I mean, ketchup goes good on
No,
hamburger.
A1.
Okay, I
57.
can do that too. I can do that too.
Hell no, I'm not putting ketchup on a steak.
I could do that too. I could
No,
do that too. But
you
I do
sick
like ketchup.
bastard.
I do like ketchup a lot, and I think ketchup is well deserved on a great steak. And I do think it's well deserved on eggs. I do think it's deserved on a good set of mashed taters. Yeah. And then Hokey for Life says hello. Hello to you. And then Max Todd also says lots of hype on Ole Miss this year, setting up for failure. They will not catch anyone by surprise or looking past them this year. Lane has a way of too much gimmick, not sound play or great defense. Well, he brought in a lot of defensive talent from the transfer portal. And so didn't he hire a defense coordinator from Alabama? Yeah. So, they should improve a little bit on the defense. They might not be, elite or anything like that, but I think they're a pretty good defense on any given day. I think as far as offensively, Lane Kiffin has a lot of tricks, like you said, a lot of gimmicks. And even Saban's had a hard time in previous years of with that Lane Kiffin offense. Even Saban hired him as offense coordinator for a reason. He's an offensive guru, and anything offensively, I think Lane Kiffin is going to be successful. Is it going to be? I think the defense is more of the question of can they get to that like great defense instead of just a good defense. Also, Max Todd says Bama wins a lot in Baton Rouge, 29-10-2 all time in Tiger Stadium. That is also true. But it is Baton Rouge. The last time, if I'm not mistaken, Ballard, the last time Alabama played in Baton Rouge, they lost, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Let's go ahead and thank everybody for coming into the chat. I really appreciate it. We need to get going though. So the next segment is called Building Blocks. These are teams that I think can build on what they already have and maybe build on previous success that they had. The first one is Auburn. Ballard loves this team, Auburn.
I have grown some respect for them over the past few years. I will admit that. Just being in the state.
So the offensive line is going to be a lot better. They got Dylan Wade. They got Connor Liu. They got Piercy Lewis. They also, as far as wide receiving core, they got Cam Coleman, Robert Lewis from Georgia State. They got Penn State veteran Keandre Lambert Smith. They got tight end Rivaldo Fairweather from FIU. He's pretty good. And then Peyton Thorne is their quarterback coming back. And we'll see how he does. He didn't do that well last year, but we'll see how he does coming back this year. He does have, a really good wide receiving core, a really good tight end, a really good offensive line. So their offense should be pretty good. Should be decent at the most. Their defense, they will have. They lost. All right, so they lost Justin Rogers and top pass rusher Marcus Harris, but Texas transfer Trill Carter and Gage Keys from Texas are pickups, and they also have hybrid Jalen McLeod from Appalachian State. They have Keldrick Falk. And then as far as linebackers, they have Eugene Astante, and they have Austin Keys. That's a really young group of linebackers, and their secondary is going to be pretty good with guys like Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James back there. Also, Texas transfer Jaron Thompson is going to be pretty good back there as well. So overall, a decent average defense and a pretty good offense. So my question to Auburn, you had a solid you had a solid season last year. Now, honestly, Auburn could have won because they went 7-5 in the regular season. They could have won 9 games. They could have won 9 games. They could have beat Georgia. They could have beat New Mexico State. They should have beat New Mexico State. So they could have had easily 9 wins. But
10, actually, if you count the Iron Bowl.
Well, that kind of got
10
out of
if you
hand.
count Alabama.
I mean, Alabama, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, was it really close, though?
How'd it get out of hand? Dude, it was 4th and goal from the 31-yard line, and they lost by 20.
Oh, I'm. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking
How'd
about the
you
year.
forget that? That was play of the year, baby.
Yeah.
What are you thinking
So
of?
I was thinking a couple years ago, whenever they fired their head coach. It's been a long off season,
Oh my
guys. It,
god.
it, it has really been.
Dude's living in the past. Georgia fans living in the past. I get it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So um Auburn had a solid first year under new head coach. Um how do you keep on building on this, and how do you avoid disasters this season?
You know what it takes to win the close games. You learn from your mistakes against Georgia and Alabama and other teams like that, and you build off the success that you were able to have last year. You have to duplicate that and do even better this year. You have a lot of good players coming in. Don't forget, you got Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman at wide receiver who are going to be studs. Well, one of them, I think it's Cam Coleman. Actually, I think both, aren't they? Both 5 stars. I mean, they're pretty highly talented guys. The recruiting's off the charts right now. You just got to put it on the field and execute, and you got to learn from the mental and in-game mistakes that held you back last year.
For sure. So what would be your question?
So pull this back up here. Auburn and Hugh Freeze, what steps would or are you taking to take advantage of the Iron Bowl rivalry with Saban out of the picture? And I guess you could say the same thing about Georgia, but they still got their head coach. But you think about it, this game means a lot in the state of Alabama. It means a lot in the SEC. It means a lot to college football fans everywhere. You saw them almost win it last year. They won it in 2019. They almost won in 2021. They've come close. They still haven't won in like 5 years, Mayhem. So what are they doing to take advantage of Alabama in this rivalry now that Nick Saban's out of the picture?
Well, we have already been taking advantage of that. I would say in recruiting, we've gotten some of their key players that they were going after, and instead they committed to us. So we are making a pretty good dent in their recruiting. So as far as that goes, and then as far as on the field play, um, we're going to keep on doing what we do every single year, except for we're just going to get better each and every year. And I think, we were like you said, 4th and 31. It was a miracle play. Weird things happen in that game. You never know what to expect. So we called the right game. We just couldn't execute. This year, we're going to call the right game, and we're going to execute to the best of our abilities, and we're going to get the job done this year. I feel like we also had Georgia beat. We just didn't execute whenever it mattered the most, and Georgia did. And just like with Alabama in this Iron Bowl, we had them beat. We just couldn't execute whenever it mattered the most, and we're going to prepare, for whenever it matters most, and try to, get better in that area. But we are going to get better, and we're going to win that game.
For sure. I think they're getting better too, for real.
To answer Mike Todd, he said Bama's number 2 in recruiting. How are you better? I didn't say that Auburn was better in recruiting. I'm just saying that as far as I just said that Auburn was taking some recruits from Alabama, and that is true. They took Thompson away from Bama, and I'm sure they've taken a couple of more. But as far as being better than Alabama in recruiting, I didn't say that. So, not sure what you mean by that question. But anyways, um, so Auburn, we are done with Auburn. But to answer your question is, we are going. I mean, Auburn had Bama and Georgia beat last year. They just didn't execute whenever it mattered most. So that's what the head coach would say is, they are trending in the right direction as far as recruiting goes, and they are also trending in the right direction as far as, they have the perfect game plan to beat these teams. They just got to go out and execute. And I feel like once they execute, they will probably win some of them games. So that's pretty much what I was saying, Mr. Todd. Let's go to Kentucky. Kentucky. So they got a brand new offense coordinator, Bush Hamdan from Boise State, because Liam Cohen left for the NFL again. They're going to have 5-star Georgia transfer Brock Vandagriff as their quarterback. They because Devin Leary, they lost Devin Leary, and so they got also they got Chip Trainum at running back. They got Barian Brown and Donnie Key at wide receiver. So they also have a great offensive lineman highlighted by Marquez Cox, left tackle. So they're going to be pretty good on offense. Defensively, the defense was second in the SEC last season against the run. Not really surprising. They also have Deion Walker, that could be a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Walker had 55 tackles and 7.5 sacks. He is 348-pound monster. He'll be a big part of their defensive game up front. And then Wildcats also get corner Maxwell Hairston, who led the team with 5 interceptions a year ago. They also get a Georgia transfer, Jamon Dumas Johnson, that was extremely good for the Bulldogs' elite defense. So pretty good defense, pretty good offense. I think they're going to have a good season, to say that. They're going to have a good season. My question to you, Mark Stoops. How do you get your players to buy in for this program after, let's just be honest, Mark Stoops, after you was leaving for another program?
So repeat that question because I was also trying to listen in on everything else you had to say.
So my question was, how do you, Mark Stoops, get your players to buy in for your program after, you was pretty much headed to another program?
Tell them this is where you stay right now. Tell them the truth that you don't know exactly what your future looks like, but that you care about the kids and you want to help the current players at your current position um, have on field and off field success in life, in education, in football. Just tell them that. Tell them, hey, I'm focused on you guys today, each day in practice. That's what you tell them.
For sure. What'll be your question?
For Mark Stoops, I want to know whether he's leaving Kentucky or not. I got to know, how are you able to compete in the new SEC?
Well, I would be really honest with you, and I would say um, that we would take one game at a time, and we'll be focused on one game before we skip ahead to the next game, and we're going to try to, you know, create losses where we can, and we're going to try our best and lead Kentucky to their first playoff berth and possibly SEC championship game. But we need the players to step up, and we need the fans to be loud and proud and make some noise. And I would just be hyping up the fans. I'd be hyping up the players, and I would just be saying that we need to take it one game at a time. But
I like it.
let's move on to Tennessee. We're almost done. I know it's getting kind of late, but this is a jam packed episode, so we're gonna kind of hurry up with these last three. Tennessee is next. Pretty much Joe Milton leaves. Didn't really work out like they thought it was. They thought he was going to be the next Hendon Hooker. Didn't work out. But Nico, I'm about to leave you. Is coming. Nico, I'm about to leave you. Is back. He's going to be the brand new quarterback. Well, actually, he's not coming back. He is coming there because he was in high school last year. But still, that's not the point. The receiving core is loaded again this year. Squirrel White. You got Brew McCoy again coming back. You also got Chris Braswell bringing in experience there. You also got Ethan Davis from Notre Dame. Yeah, they're going to be very good. Offensive line, they got Gerald Mincey Gerald Mincey left for Kentucky. But LSU Tigers Lance Hurd is a potential star at the tackle spot. They got Cooper Mays and Javontes Spraggins, the two best in the nation at their respective positions. So offensive line is going to be loaded once again. Defensively, their defense, pass rush is going to be amazing. They got James Pierce Jr. And then they got Omari Thomas, Bryson Eason. They got Tyler. They lose Tyler Barron, but they got them guys. Linebackers, Keenan Pilley, and then they got Arian Carter and Khalid Perry. So their defense is going to be pretty good once again as well. This is going to be a great team. Not a very great team, but a great team. Expect them to win a lot of games. But as far as my question to Josh Heupel, very simple. New quarterback, who dis?
Um, he's a star, at least out of high school, but we love what we've seen in practice. That's my answer.
All right, what's your question?
For Heupel, Nico Maliava entering his first full year of starting, what do you want him to take from the offseason?
Repeat that again.
He's entering his first full year as the go-to starter. What do you want him to take from the offseason?
I want him to take his leadership skills from the off season. That's what I want. I want him. That's exactly what I want from him. Is to get sorry. I want him to be able to take his leadership skills, and he's very talented. He knows he's talented. The coaches have faith in him. He's talented. And focused on leadership skills and putting them leadership skills to the test on the football field.
Okay, good answer. I would say that I would want him to just, yeah, everything you just said. Leadership skills, put it on the football field, just be the leader of the offense, be in command, be in control of your receivers, where the ball's going, make big plays down the field, execute, and ultimately score points, kind of like Hendon Hooker was able to do and Joe Milton was able to do before they got drafted. It's been offense, offense, offense for Tennessee the last 2 or 3 years. So, um, for Nico Alimaliava, or however, he's just got to put it on the field and go score some points.
Right. Let's preview the Georgia Bulldogs real quick and then ask the questions. I'm going to keep it simple. Carson Beck comes back for another season. The top quarterback in 2024. He's getting a lot of Heisman love. Also at receiver, Dominic Lovett. Arian Smith come back. You got Miami transfer Colby Young that's going to have a huge year this year. He had a huge spring game, so we're really excited about that. Georgia also has Trevor Etienne at running back, and that transferred from Florida. Also, they have Georgia also brings 4 starters from the offensive line back, and so their offense, they bring back a good 70-75% of their offense back with them. That amazing offense. Mike Bobo is running that offense. And I was kind of questionable at first with his offense, but then towards the end of the year, I really like what Mike Bobo was putting on the field, the product and everything. I know the end goal, we only lost, one game, and we were out of the playoffs. Which is crazy to think about because normally if you go 12-0 in the regular season, it don't matter if you lose the SEC championship or not, you should be in. But this past year, we had 3 undefeated teams and one one-loss team that just happened to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, so they got the nod over the Georgia Bulldogs. As far as the defense goes, we're going to have Michael Williams, we're going to have Warren Brinson, Nazir Stackhouse, Samal Mandan Jr. I know he is in a lot of trouble, but hopefully, after his after he gets, I'm sure he's going to be suspended for what he did. But he'll make a comeback. He'll be playing this season. C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson are also going to be a part of this awesome defense as well. Also, you got guys like Ellis Robinson and K.J. Bolden in the secondary as well that are going to be new to the team. So, man, come on, bro. I mean, elite for the Georgia Bulldogs. Go ahead and ask me. I'm Kirby Smart. What's your question?
Expectations are high for an Natty. Why is this the year to do it specifically? And especially with the changes like a 12-team playoff and new scheduling.
Well, if I was Kirby Smart, I would say that every single year. Let me go ahead and say this before I give my answer. Every single year, Kirby Smart comes up with this crazy slogan or like this saying that he does every single year. Like one year it was "Eat off the floor," right?
Mhm.
You know, so I would probably whatever that slogan that he creates this year, whether "Eat off the floor" or something like that. Um, I would say that whatever he comes up with, and then I would say that we're really talented. We're a really talented team that has a lot of expectations. We are really hungry for missing the playoff by one game. You know, we uh, we fell short in the SEC championship, and we believe that we deserved to be in that Final Four spot. But unfortunately, we wasn't. We're going to look. We're going to put that behind us. We're going to have a lot of momentum coming into this season. We're going to have a chip on our shoulder, and and I'm gonna pretty much do this. I would say. Um, I would say that we are. I mean, I'm going to do the same exact thing that Kirby Smart did years ago. We are not going to be the hunters. We are going to be the hunted. So, and I would just motivate my players through my answer and get them all hyped up, and I would get my fans hyped up, and I would make sure to let everybody know that Georgia is still the standard of college football. So, what's up, Fireball? Yes, we did do Tennessee. We got one more team left, and that's going to be it for this live stream. So, last but not least, we have Texas. The Texas Longhorns, Steve Sarkisian, coming into the SEC. They bring back Quinn Ewers, and they also have Arch Manning there as well. They're going. They went and got Isaiah Bond from Alabama. They also got Amari Black from Alabama. They also got Matthew Golden from Houston. So they got some really great portal additions there. Um, as far as the offensive line, um, they have a really good offensive line. They did lose Kelvin Banks. No, sorry. They have Kelvin Banks coming back for one more year, and then he'll be headed to the NFL. They also got C.J. Baxter and Jaden Blue as their running backs, so should be really good there. As far as the defense, they got an elite defense. The only part of their defense that's going to be a little bit shaky is the secondary. Um, last year the Longhorns got roasted for 285 or more passing yards in 6 of the last 9 games. They lost 2 of them, and 3 others were 4. And 3 of the 4 were decided by 1 score. So their defensive secondary needs to improve. Um, and my question to you would be, how do you live up to the hype? You got a lot of hype in the offseason. How do you live up to that coming into the SEC?
You build
And how do
off
you
last year's. How do I what?
get your players to stop looking, on social media about how they're going to be so good?
Lock their phones up, I guess. I don't know. I mean, but I would say you live up to the hype and expectation that you're expected of in the SEC by building off of last year's success. You mentioned Texas, all right? You bring in Isaiah Bond is really really good. You know, uh, Martin Black, I believe, also comes in from Alabama. They bring a lot of guys out through the portal, through recruiting. Quinn Ewers especially leads this offense, could possibly be a Heisman favorite this year. Just accept where you are, but don't get too arrogant and too cocky, you know?
For sure. And the final question of the day, Ballard, you got it.
The Horns in the SEC, everyone's back. Isaiah Bond and other transfers come in. Why is this working all in Texas's favor?
Well, I have hired a tremendous staff. They work really hard day in and day out to get this team ready. Our team, we brought in some transfers, and that really meshed well with our team, and they're doing a tremendous job as well. Quinn Ewers is the leader of our offense. He has grown so much in that leadership role. He had a great year last year, and he's doing much of the same in practices and stuff like that. So I can't wait to see y'all. I can't wait to show him off once again this upcoming season in the SEC. We are not worried about the SEC. We have faced SEC competition like Alabama and Georgia and other teams. Also, Oklahoma comes in. That's a rivalry. We're going to, we are very familiar with them too. We are the standard whenever it comes to playing football, and we're going to have. It don't matter what team we have to play, what conference that we're in. We are going to be ready to play, and hopefully they're ready to play us. So that concludes the SEC Media Days kickoff with Mayhem and Ballard of Ballard Sports Media. This has been a almost 2-hour live stream, and get the watch hours in. If you can even watch this back. I hope that we had some great content for you guys. I was really excited to do this, and I'm glad and I'm thankful that Ballard came on today and did it with me. Next week, before I get off here, next week, Mayhem is going to be live streaming like crazy, okay? Yes, I promise this time, okay? Finally got my schedule worked out to where I can do it. So Mayhem Mondays are on Mondays. As far as the touchdown show, I'm going to have to get with Ballard and see if he can do it. If he can't, then we just won't do it. But actually, that's not true. I will do it anyways, either way. But, going to get with Ballard, see what day he wants to do it this week. And then also on Wednesdays, we got The Real Deal, episode number 5. So be excited for that. On Friday, we have the Bulldog Bite, where we talk everything Georgia football and what's happening in the world of Athens. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to look at recruiting, at Georgia recruiting. We're going to look at the players that are coming back for 2024. We're going to look at their season schedule, and we're going to preview that as well. We're going to do, we're going to do all kind of stuff. We're going to look inside of Georgia Bulldogs football, and so I'm really hyped to bring that back as well. So we got a lot of live streams next week. Can't wait to do them all. Can't wait for you to watch them all. And so with that being said, also, I am going to be rolling with a lot of content for y'all guys, because Monday, tomorrow, will be the first upload for the season predictions. So I'm going to work really hard right after I get off of here and get some of these predictions going and some of these videos going for y'all. So I really love and appreciate y'all. I'm glad that you, if you have been watching for the last 2 hours, that I'm glad that you are able to stick around and hang out with us. Also, one more thing before we get off. Thank you, Flaming Sports Media, Max Todd, especially Max Todd. He has definitely been in the chat all night. Thank you for his, chat. Daniel Berry Sports, thank you. Hokey for Life, thank you. And Fireball, he came in kind of like the last minute, but he was a part of it. He said, "Have y'all did Tennessee yet?" Yes, we did Tennessee. We did all 16 of them. So with that being said, I really appreciate the chat. The chat is what keeps this live stream going. So with that being said, if you like this content, smash the thumbs up. And if you really like this content, hit the subscribe button on both Mayhem and Ballard Sports Media. Christian Ballard,
Yes,
what
sir.
is your final words?
Wake up show tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern. We try to run it for 2 hours, but sometimes we come up a little bit shy. What we're going to be talking about, I want to get into some baseball talk. We had the MLB draft tonight, and they got the All-Star game coming up. So if you are baseball fans out there like me, we'll definitely try to get into it.
For sure. And my final words, you already know, go Dogs.
Roll Tide. We'll see you guys. We love you.